All right, John Matthews off the line. We were just talking about this in a borrowed car. One of his pit crew members has his 4400 car, and John earning a slot as part of his national championship top win in the 4500 class. So he's in a rental out there, probably going to have tons of fun.
It's fantastic to see us back to live action here in Hammertown. And it's the 4400 qualifying for the 2019 Nitto King of the Hammers powered by Optima batteries. We've already seen some amazing action today. We saw Cody Addington throw down an incredible 224 earlier, and then Brian Crofts coming straight out only an hour or so later and smashing in an absolutely blistering time to currently hold pole position with a 221.
It'll be interesting to compare the time that John gets in this car versus his 4500 car yesterday. No question, this car is better outfitted and obviously faster, but how well can John adapt to the driving style that needs to change between a 4500 car and a 44?
It's never easy to jump from one car to another car and be competitive. So it's very brave of John to get out here and do this.
So far, he's doing very well. Made quick work of the 4 wheel parts rock section, dropped down into the wash, made easy transition in that corner that we've been watching all day. This is the gotcha corner, though, that we've been watching. We'll just have to see how well he makes it up short bus.
There's many areas of this course that are very technical, but this for me is the make or break area. This is the bit that we're going to see the faster guys. It's how they're going to transition this bit here as to whether they can put down a faster time than Brian Crofts.
Absolutely. We saw Crofts come through there so fast. He was on 2 wheels. Easy, quick save for him. Get that car back down. Imagine how much faster his time would have been if he didn't have to do that checkup and get that car back on all 4 tires.
Absolutely. And John looking nice and smooth as he heads down through short bus. As we watch Mike Bergman waiting on the line for his opportunity and that beautiful UFO.
Yes. John Matthews coming back into town very quickly. And right now we have a very special guest up here on stage. For those of you unfamiliar with the territory that the Hammers is close to, we are right next door to 29 Palms Air Force Base. And on stage we have General Turner.
Are we on camera? Yeah, so I just want to introduce Brigadier General Roger Turner. We're fortunate enough to be able to partner with the Marines to be able to use some of the Marine land to race out to the far side towards Sagi and Anderson. We're doing a tour today. General, thank you very much for the tour, and thanks for coming and enjoying the race and for the opportunity to work with the Marine Corps.
Great. All right, now thank you very much. First of all, it's a beautiful day out here. It's so great to be here and see this great event taking place. And as they talked about, the Marine Corps Training Center is right next door here. And this is where we do all of our service level training, and anyway, so it's great to have the King of the Hammers come in here and operate in the shared use area here, and also part of the exclusive use area on the base. And we're happy to be in a great partnership with you and the rest of the folks here in the Morongo Valley that allow us to do this sort of thing. But it's a great partnership. I just ask everybody to just to be safe and realize that we do conduct a lot of really advanced live fire training in the area just to the east of here, and so it's important that everybody's safe and realizes what we do out there. But anyway, it's great to be here today, and great event, and thank you very much for inviting me. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. And And thank you for your service and all the people here. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, here we go once again. Michael Bergman is going to be leaving the line momentarily. And we're live in Hammertown as the 4400 qualifying continues.
I think this afternoon we're going to see some absolutely amazing qualifying action, even leading up and into Power Hour. This beautiful UFO car, you can see that they just make, the IFS cars just make such quick work of these short course sections.
Yeah, these UFO cars have got a very low center of gravity, fantastic visibility as well. You'll see there's almost no bonnet. You call it a hood, we call it a bonnet. Almost no bonnet at all, so which means they can see the wheels at all times, so they can pick those lines. Now,
Yeah,
Mike Bergman's one of my choices, one of my top 10 guys that I'm reckoning could really do something special today.
Absolutely. You know, I think the most important thing about those rear engine cars is you do get that driver forward position. You do lose a lot on the weight balance. You'll end up with a lot of weight on the back of the car. In the desert, huge benefit. That's why you see a lot of trophy trucks with the engine pushed either so far back or even in the rear. Allows you to carry those front tires through the fast sections. Large, high hill climbs, it can become a detriment because you got so much weight on that rear axle.
And here comes Mike now. This is the tricky bit. It's off camber, it's rutted, it's rough. We've already seen cars on their sides. We saw Brian Crofts up on two wheels. And Michael Bergman making short work of it. Well, they didn't look as fast as Brian, that's for sure. As we watch Carl Wickham getting ready for his shot. So Carl Wickham's waiting to be heading off the line at any moment as Michael Bergman heads towards the line and Hammertown.
Bergman with a blistering fast pace. Be interested to see how close he gets to our leader, or if he can even unseat him. What do you think, Jim?
Great shot there. Just see Michael Bergman heading up round to the Jeep arches as we look through Carl Wickham's car. And here goes Carl, IFS car. Very distinctive livery.
Fast pace through that short course. Very low center of gravity in that car.
And again, such a different style to anything else we've seen out there so far.
Moving fast through the desert. Watch, look at that rear axle just soaking up those whoops. That section is just going to get more and more torn up as more cars go through it. Heading into the 4 parts rock section. Quick work of that, back down the backside. And this is the turn that we saw last year. A lot of drivers get chewed up on coming off that rock section in that tight left-hander.
Got confirmation now that Michael Bergman has moved into 4th place with a 2:27, so a great run there from Mike Bergman.
Excellent, excellent pace.
But it's all about Carl Wickham at the moment, 8:23, and this looks really nice. A good run.
He is working
on a
his way
similar
through those
kind of
runs.
pace to Mike Bergman, that's for sure.
That is a good time coming up the top of short bus out the top at just over the 1:30 mark.
Yeah, he just lost a little bit of time there, but still very fast. Dan Wyrick leaves the line. Another very distinctive looking vehicle. So many heavy hitters in this class.
Definitely interesting to see the difference between all the IFS cars. Some go for that front engine like Brian Crofts has, the engine up front, just pushed back as far as he can. Some committed to that rear engine. Rear engine gets the driver further forward, but you put a lot of weight into the back of that car. in those desert sections. You can see how light the front end of those cars are. Easily able to soak up those whoops. Headed into the 4-wheel parts rock section. He'll make quick work of this.
As we watch Dan Warwick, Carl Wickham crosses the line and goes into 7th place with a 2:38. A great run there from Carl.
That was an excellent run. You could tell when he came up over the top of short bus at that 135, 137 mark. That seems to be a good split time to land into our top 10.
But look at this here. Look at Dan Warwick. He's absolutely motoring.
Oh, he is a man on fire at this point. There it is again.
2 wheels again.
We saw Brian Cross with the same thing. A lot of the IFS cars, I remember when when Randy Rod from Jimmy's was first building a lot of these cars, that was one of the concerns. On those tight corners, they do tend to unload that rear suspension, can get up on 2 wheels.
As you watch Dan Warwick coming down now, it is, of course, Greg Adler. 4-wheel parts man himself.
Greg Adler, no stranger to many different types of off-road racing. Out here again, Ultra 4. Blistering fast pace through that desert section. That is an amazing car. You'll see him head into this rock section. Quick work of that section. Seems to be that these all of our afternoon qualifiers, or qualifiers, I guess it's not afternoon yet, but all of our qualifiers so far in this 4400 class have no trouble with that 4-wheel parts rock section.
And as we were watching Greg Adler, Dan Warwick comes in 10th position with a 2:43.
Definitely fast cars in this batch of qualifiers.
Oh, definitely. Greg Adler's car looks a big car compared to many of the new generation single-seaters that we're seeing.
You know, I believe that car started life as a previous owner's car. And it's funny, you watch the generations of these cars. For a while, the cars were basically modified trail rigs, solid axles, small, nimble, get through the rocks. When they started to tackle the desert sections, they started to grow, get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now they're back down to scaling those cars down, making them small, yet still IFS trailing arm suspension. An Ultra 4 car now is truly its own unique vehicle.
Heading out around the short course now, it's Joe Hutchins, the 530 car. And Greg Adler's coming around to the tail end of course at the moment. We'll find out what his time is. But it's all about Joe Hutchins at the moment, making his way around the second of the big bends.
Headed out through that last jump, and then we'll land in that whoop section we've been watching get rutted out more and more.
Greg Adler comes into the finish.
Right there, perfect example. Solid axle car, tuned correctly, can make a lot of moves in the desert.
Well, Greg Adler has absolutely smashed it out the park. He puts it into 4th position with a 2:28. Incredible.
There's never been a question that Greg Adler has always been a fast driver out here, even on race day.
So we have now got 5 cars below 2 minutes 30. Who would have thought we'd see that?
Oh, I never thought it would happen today. You know, we saw that first pace come out this morning with a fast number. I thought that would hold till power hour. I cannot wait till we see what kind of numbers we get into power hour.
Oh, it's going to be amazing to watch. Make sure you're around 4 o'clock this afternoon for power hour. See all our previous kings and so many other heroes as well. As we're watching Joe Hutchins, car 530, making his way up round the back of short bus, and he takes that different line.
On the line, Evan Berman, 5772, waiting for his shot to go. Once the previous driver clears short bus, they will let him go, and he's off. over the first jump into the first long sweeping turn. Great shot of that short course section. You can see that first turn is a little bit more than 90 degrees. Got to swing nice and wide all the way around and then head back in.
There's starting to be lines etched into those banks now. Some drivers will want to follow those lines, other drivers will want to create their own fresh lines. This is where pre-running is absolutely vital. And at 6:30 this morning, this valley was absolutely alive with the sound of V8 engines as guys were out there pre-running this course.
Absolutely. You know, especially on a qualifying course like this, it makes a huge deal.
So Evan Bertman working his way across the rocks now.
You can see that turn at the bottom of that 4 parts rock section is just getting more and more rutted out.
It looks rough. And it's only going to get worse. Takes that top line, drops back down in again. But this is the line that I'm interested in. It's this one here. I think this is really the make or break of this run.
This is where we see our leaders on a blistering fast pace coming through here.
They carry that speed onto the hill.
Yeah, it's hard to tell when you're watching this at home or watching just even here live in Hammertown. That hill is an incredibly steep hill. By carrying that speed across that flat section before you make that left, it's the difference between a good finish and just an okay finish.
Eric Miramon leaving the line now. 42.15.
And you can tell when you look at the back of his car, this is exactly what we talked about yesterday, Jim. Look at that. He has removed the spare for qualifying. The question is, was that a good decision or not? Yeah, the car's a little bit lighter, but it definitely changes how the car reacts when it's in the dirt.
Completely changes its geometry. But maybe he's been practicing. Maybe he dials back his shocks a little bit.
Yeah, you know, we just don't know. We talked yesterday that people putting in a different transfer case just for qualifying. There's lots of tips and tricks that guys will use to get through qualifying, get a good number, and then change it all up for race day.
Indeed. Just looking at the ticker there, we see the results. And still Spanish ace Inaki Lanzagorta, it's still in the top 10, so a great run from him this morning.
Miramon making quick, look at that front end up in the air, all the way through those rocks. Making his way through that desert section into those ruts that we've been watching all morning, just get more and more torn up. Up over the top of short bus and drops down the far side.
So any moment now, we're going to have Travis Cook leaving the line. As we watched Eric Miramon finishing his run. So here we go, Travis Cook, hot on course. Solid axle car. Jimmy's frame. Travis looking good as he comes into that second big sweeping bend. And heads out over the second jump towards the four-wheel parts rock section.
You can see that part of the course is absolutely torn up as the cars work through it. They're carrying a good amount of speed into those rocks.
So here's Travis Cook now making his way out through the back end here. Looking good, looking tidy.
This is the section we've been talking about all morning, Jim's.
Yeah, you just see how he loses seconds there, just being cautious, just taking his time. He's going to be lucky to be sub 3 minutes here. Picking his way down through short bus now, taking his time, missing those big rocks. Oh, big hit there from Travis. Just catches his rear end on one of those bigger rocks, but he gets away with it. Heads down into that big sweeping turn before he works his way back up to the Jeep arch. Multiple lines turning up down there now. It's worth noting how fast he's actually travelling, and then it makes you realise how fast our fastest qualifier so far, Brian Cross, was travelling across that same bit of ground.
Absolutely. And sitting on the line, Vaughn Gittin Jr., no stranger to motorsports. We've seen him spend a lot of time in the EMC classes, now moving up to the 4400.
Yeah, Vaughn, of course, used to be a 4500 class in this amazing Jimmy's built IFS Bronco. But he stepped it up to 4400, and it'll be really interesting to see how he gets on. We've got that wild Coyote engine in there.
It is interesting. We've seen a lot of people come into Ultra 4 racing from different types of racing, not necessarily adapt to it very well, but Vaughn sort of seems to be the one guy who's sticking it out. I think he's absolutely fallen in love with it. I think he has fun. I talk to him occasionally. We'll run into each other at different events, and I know he absolutely loves coming out here to King of the Hammers, and I know he loves driving that car.
Yeah, I believe he's the 3-time drifting world champion. No stranger to high horsepower cars. But off-road racing is very, very different to any other kind of racing. Most kinds of racing are two-dimensional. It's flat tarmac, maybe the odd hill. Off-road racing is three-dimensional. We're looking at terrain in different ways, and that's why we often see our pilots and drivers being older guys, dare I say, or people that have a lot more experience. And that's why when we look at our younger generation, the Levi Shirleys, the Waylon Campbells, the Bailey Campbells, the Bailey Coles, if you actually look at their history, they've actually been wheeling for more than 10 years in most cases. And you need that to be able to build that picture, that three-dimensional image of the terrain in front of you, and understand where you can accelerate and where you have to back off, where you can get away with crazy moves and where you've got to pay the ground a lot of respect.
I would even go further than that and say not only is off-road racing different than any other type of racing, Ultra 4 racing I think is different than any other type of off-road racing, and that's why I think we see so many drivers in just this particular sport. As I said before, we've seen lots of other heavy hitter drivers come over and try their hand at Ultra 4 racing. Usually they wash out in a year or two when they realize that it's incredibly hard to get that car all the way to the
Vaughn
first
on
pit.
2 wheels there as he comes over the top. He's got a good pace here. I don't think he's going to trouble our lead cars, but he's certainly going to be well under 3 minutes.
Oh, I think Vaughn's got a fast pace, but just like you said, I don't think he's going to be threatening anyone who's sitting up front. Beautiful Bronco sheet metal on that.
Now this is where he's got to make that car work for him. Get that IFS really turning hard. Grab those half seconds on this final bend.
Through that Jeep arch back down into Hammertown.
He's going to just about be inside the top 10, so a nice run here from Vaughan Gittin Jr. As we watch Jason Shipman, Campbell car.
Almost top 10, Jen. Looks like Vaughn right now is currently sitting in 11th place.
Oh, he just missed it. Here goes Jason Shipman. Now, Jason Shipman has been racing Ultra 4 for a very long time, and this car is getting old now, but it never fails to deliver. Jason, one of the nicest people in Ultra 4 motorsport. And he's finishing off this latest group of qualifiers. Jason Shipman looking really good here.
You know, you were saying, Jim, that is an older car, and yes, that is an older car, but also there's a benefit to driving the same car every year like that. There's a lot of seat time. All that seat time pays off when you're in the car on the course. Quick work through those ruts that we've been watching just get more and more torn out all day. Takes the turn up into short bus, and he'll come over the top. Just at the 140 mark. He'll be close to our top 10. Everyone we see in our top 10 so far comes over the top of short bus between 130 and 140. That'll just depend how much time he can make up on the downhill slide and through this last little desert section on his way into the Jeep arch.
And here comes Jason. And he's looking good. Again, he's not going to trouble our leader, but look at this inside line. He's taking a totally different route down through here.
Very, very tight line. The question is, that transition, the tight line may save some time, but then you got to transition into that deep run section.
It bleeds away the time again. And he goes wide, doesn't cut the corner. We're seeing almost every single one of these 4400 class cars flicking down that left-hand line. And he crosses the line.
All right, up on stage with you right now, good friend of mine, Brian Crofts. Brian, current race pole position holder, I guess we'd call it. You know, first time in the new car, how did it feel?
Felt good. I've got about 90 miles on the car so far. Went through transmission the other day, and if it weren't for the Campbells and Jimmy Jack's crew, we wouldn't even be here qualifying. So it's been a struggle, but we've been making it work.
Now this is a not only a new car to you. You guys took the Red Dragon blueprint and made some changes to it that you and Randy talked about. I know we talked about this at SEMA and at Off-Road Expo. What are some of the subtle changes to that car that make it unique to you?
Changed the back half a little bit, just lowered the back tail section down, stood the A-pillars up. Wanted to do a couple other things, try and get the seating position as low as I could. We changed up some tubing, trying to get the car a little lighter. So I think everything that we've done so far, the car seems to like it.
Well, I think you've proven that. You know, you just basically laid down probably the fastest qualifying time we've seen, 4 seconds faster than what we thought was going to be the fast time of the day. Out on the course, I know right before we left, right before you left, we talked a little bit about how hard you were going to push the car. Were you pushing it to the edge, or do you think there's still a lot left in it, or how's it driving so far?
You know, it definitely has a lot more in it. Again, I got like 92 miles on the thing, so I think with some more seat time, I think the car could be a top setter car all day long. But, you know, it's everybody's race.
Now, we talked a little bit about, we've always been up here talking so far about solid axle IFS. This is the transition from you, solid axle race car to an IFS car. What is the difference when you're driving that car in the desert and the difference when you're driving in the rocks?
So far, for me, it's trying to figure out how to pick a line with the IFS, and instead of putting your wheels kind of over something, you got to carry your momentum. You're not crawling. You're hitting that bulkhead hard or your A-arm kind of hard to push through some things, keeping some momentum going. But the car is a lot more stable than what I thought the car would be like.
Well, I think you've proven you got a great car, great package. You know, we've talked about this as the car was being built. Super excited for you. Fast qualifier so far. Good luck on race day.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And real quick, I just want to thank my mom, my dad, and my grandma for allowing me to do this. So if it weren't for them, wouldn't be here. So thanks.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Good luck, Brian. Thank you.
Well, Ian, we've had some fantastic qualifying here today in Hammertown. All started at 8 o'clock this morning. We've seen a very exciting LCQ where only 10 vehicles will be going through to the main race, and we've seen some incredibly fast times. I mean, that time of Cody Addington, I still can't believe that Brian Cross beat that by 4 seconds.
Well, what surprises me is just like what Brian and I were talking about up here. Not only did he beat it, I expected somebody in the power hour to beat that time. You know, these are guys who've got hours and hours of seat time in these IFS cars. You know, some guys years, like Shannon. But to have somebody like Brian come in here with, as he said, 90 miles on the car, and some of that with a hurt transmission that they had to swap right before he rolled out, and then to lay down that type of qualifying time, you know, I think Brian is, when he gets more seat time in that car and him will definitely be a contender in this race.
Yeah, indeed. Let's just have a quick look through our top 10. So we've got Brian Crofts there, sitting with a 221. Then Cody Addington in second on a 225. Jeff McKinley, that was a fantastic run there from Jeff. Well, it was a 227. Greg Adler, that massive IFS car with a 228 in fourth position. Michael Bergman in the highest placed UFO so far with a 229. Then Marcus Gomez in that fully independent UFO with 230. Then in seventh, it's Dan Fresh in the Bomber with 232. Then it's Eric Miramon, a great run from Eric there, taking him into a 236th in eighth position. And in ninth position, it's Carl Wickham with a 238. And then rounding out our top 10 is Kenneth Goodall with a 239. Incredible stuff.
Top 10 drivers, sub 240. More drivers to come today. I think we're in a situation where we may see some 220s, maybe even some 210s. Who knows? If the power hour can put the power down, you know, those guys are driving. They want that clean air. They want to be out in front. They're not happy with just laying back and getting a good position. They definitely want that pole to stretch their legs in that first desert loop.
Okay, to all the guys and gals sitting at home watching on Facebook Live, production have just got to reset our view, so if you suddenly find it goes quiet, just refresh your feeds when you're at home and all of the action will come back once again. Let's not forget, if you're listening on radios or if you're someone else, head over to ultra4racing.com/live and you'll be able to watch all of the live action from Hammertown.
All right, guys, we're just waiting for a couple drivers in this last group before we take a break. Next running will be at noon today as we're waiting patiently for more and more 4400 drivers to come out and qualify for the 2019 Nitto King of the Hammers, powered by Optima.